Welcome back to the channel, and if you're a subscriber, thanks for sticking around. It's been well over 1,000 days since my last upload, and since then, the channel has really skyrocketed in viewership. I'm happiest to see that the majority of views still come from YouTube search, which really just means that the channel is doing what it set out to do, which is help people who have a specific question about cubing. Today's Christmas, which historically has always been the #1 day of all time for my channel. And so I thought I would take today to kind of just catch up and maybe show some of the puzzles that I haven't featured in videos before. First, I thought I would talk a little bit about where I've been for the last 3 years. So I'm now going to college. I go to the University of Virginia, where I'm studying mechanical engineering, computer science, and mathematics. Kind of figures. I actually talked about this channel in my application essay. So, I mean, maybe it's even possible that the person who read it looked it up, and that's the reason why I'm here. I haven't really done too much speed cubing since then. I can't say I've learned more than 10 algorithms. My average is still not bad, probably a respectable 15 seconds on the 3x3, and I checked this summer, I can still do blind solves. It probably just takes 1 or 2 extra minutes. Some puzzles, though, are just a complete train wreck. I've forgotten like half the algorithms for the square one and might not even be able to solve it in just one go anymore. You may notice that the background cubes aren't the same as the original, and that's because I don't have all the cubes at my house right now. Some of them are at school, some of them are in other places. One of them I lent to a friend to learn blindfolded, and he never gave it back, but it's fine. It's been a really great year for cubing. You know, we finally saw the 3x3 single record go down. We now have a 9-year-old world record contender. Super happy that it's Max Park because there's a lot of contenders that, given a little bit of luck, could have done it as well, but just so happy that it's him. Over the years, I've gotten a couple new puzzles, and I thought I'd share them with you today. So first we have this 3x3x4 here. It's actually a pretty interesting puzzle. So these sides can only turn by 180 degrees because, you know, this doesn't work at all. And so that means even when you scramble it up, you know, these top sides can only get so complicated with white and yellow. But it makes for a really interesting solve otherwise. As with most of these niche puzzles, there isn't really an agreed upon best strategy for them, so I would have to piece together a couple different ones if I made a tutorial for this. Fun fact, as I might have shown off in a previous video, you can do square one algorithms on the 3x3, and this works as well on the 3x3x4 by just moving 2 sides at a time and then moving the top and bottom by only 90-degree turns. Moving on, you might have noticed that this is actually not a 2x2, and it is the Moyu Puppet Cube. This is honestly one of my favorite puzzles now, and I've solved it a few times without any internet help. Now, if you look closely, it is actually just a 3x3 shape mod. You can see centerpiece, corner, 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 corner. That means that when this turns, you actually can't see it moving all the way through because these sides just look like a 2x2. This means that it does create bandaging in which some turns become impossible when you try to do them. Bandaging, for those who don't know, is just any time that you turn a puzzle and that it creates cases where you can't do other turns that were previously possible. So if I do this turn, it's actually now impossible for me to rotate this top side to the right, but I can rotate it to the left. And that's just because of how these pieces are starting to create little blockages for me. The best way I figured out how to do it is just solve the corner pieces, and then I figured out on the 3x3, once you have the centers and corners in place, it is possible to solve the entire cube only by using middle moves, and only one layer at a time, like with a U-turn. But of course, on the Puppet Cube, you can move one layer at a time freely, and you don't have to worry about bandaging. Next, one of my new favorite just simple shape mods is this Twist Cube. It just is really visually pleasing and turns really, really well for, you know, what you would expect with a $5 cube. These pieces are symmetrical, which means it is slightly different than the 3x3. One fun fact about this that I found out, if you do the checkerboard pattern on this, it actually doesn't really look right. And that's because the opposite sides, you know, have a number of colors on them, so you have to do kind of a different thing to get this into a checkerboard shape. If you want to pause right now and figure out how I got it to look like this, you're welcome to. I'll leave this as a little challenge. Next we have, I think this is called the Moyu Mix-Up Cube, and it's just a normal cube, except when you turn it a half turn, you can now turn these little pieces, and then you'll have to solve these in the end as well. Now, I'm holding my thumb over this for a reason. I haven't actually ever solved this before, and that's because there is like nothing online about this, and it's also a lot harder than I expected it to be. So these X-shaped centerpieces are static, and these corner pieces are static, so you can just solve this like a normal cube for those pieces. But then the rest of them, which kind of act as these like Polaris cube corner tiles, are just really hard to get in place, and it's not even clear where any one piece can move. For the moment, I don't know how to move pieces individually, especially considering that, you know, you actually need to get the ramp pieces and the center pieces in the correct positions as well. I picked this one up, and it is Calvin's puzzle brand. It's just a normal 3x3, except it has these pieces that can turn 180 degrees. It is a little bit delicate to turn, but it's visually pleasing, and I think it's a really cool puzzle overall. Now, it is deceptively difficult. You might expect this to have some bandaging element with how you can turn these or turn the cube itself, but basically it's so restrained that you're limited to only 180-degree turns in order to set up, you know, like the next turn by turning all of these so I can turn the top face. This means that all you really have to know how to do is solve the 3x3 with 180-degree turns, which I do have a tutorial for. Next, we have a weird little YJ cube where all the pieces are spheres. Fun fact, this actually wouldn't be legal in competition because you can slightly see through the cube and you're not allowed to have anything that could give you some competitive advantage from looking from one side and knowing what the pieces are on the other side. Turns about as you'd expect for this. You know, the pieces feel like they're going to pop out at any moment, but, you know, you don't buy it for the speed cubing ability. Next, we have the RS3M V5, which I can't believe I'm saying. They just keep coming out with more and more of these, and they keep getting better and better. Now, if you know me, I've never actually owned a nice speed cube before. The one I used to main was just the first magnetic budget cube, which was the YJ Ulong, and it was okay, but it wasn't the best. This is a actually really nice cube. It's buttery smooth, it might be a little over-lubed out of the package, but that's kind of how they sell it nowadays, and you're expected to just break it in, and it should wear off over time. Maybe I will do like an average of 100 or something on this cube. That could be fun. One little side note is the app that I used to use for timing all my solves stopped receiving updates, which means that I have this thing on my phone that has app data, but I can't open it anymore, and I've lost absolutely everything. Now, some of you guys might have noticed from the size of this box here, but this cube is special because it comes with a little cube guy, girl, gender-neutral robot. It's pretty cool. It says Moyo on the side. The legs can go down so that it can be in sitting or standing, and, you know, these arms can turn. I haven't really figured out what these hands are supposed to hold. It's too big for a pencil or anything, but it kind of fits, you know, like this screwdriver that it comes with, so I think that's how I'm going to display it on my desk in college. Oh yeah, they also gave me this cubicle pen, which I guess is kind of cool, limited edition or something. Cool. Lastly, we have a puzzle that I've never scrambled up, and it's this circuit cube. So on every side is like an actually technical circuit here. I think each of them are supposed to represent different logical gates, but honestly, I think I'm just going to have my computer engineering friend help me with this one. All right, I've been saving the best for last, and now we have the Eusan Teram. This guy is sitting at about half a kilogram and is a lot bigger than the Megaminx. I don't have the Gigaminx with me right now because it's at school, but just for size comparison, you can see this is a truly massive puzzle with pretty small pieces compared to the Megaminx. So far, I've only solved this, I think, 3 times, and it took me about an hour and a half each time, so I'm not exactly itching to immediately solve this again, but it's pretty fun. As you might imagine, it's just the same as the Gigaminx, but you might have to add a couple little commutator algorithms for these little centerpieces, and it's just a lot more edge pairing, a lot more center pairing, and a lot more turns. I bought this one with my own money, partially because I was starting to earn some money from YouTube, but also partially because this has always been a puzzle that I've wanted to get, but, you know, it was just those, like, $1,000, never gonna buy it just for collector puzzles. But cubing has gotten so much better mechanically since I last did it. Also, I just thought I'd take a second to admire this setup here. I had to prop this up since we've added this wainscoting since the last time I filmed, so I wanted to make it look more like it used to. And of course, we have the classic 2 Lego panels on a plate to hold up the phone. Well, that about wraps things up. I don't know when or if I'm ever going to do any more videos, but for now, thanks for watching.